as soon as you get off Uber or limo, getting into the airport, all the way to your destination. So a lot of stuff that we've done from a technology perspective is we uplifted a lot of our infrastructure capabilities to make them ready to be a lot more nimble in the cloud. We're primarily in AWS, and in some cases we're serverless, we have native services, we have hybrid services, but we also have mainframe on the back end. So pretty complex, and that's what makes it fun.
That's great. And what exactly innovation means for United? What are areas where you believe the organization needs to focus on, is focusing on, that is going to fundamentally transform how you guys doing things?
Yeah, no, that's a great question too. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, we wanted to make sure that we are meeting the demand that's coming from the business. And in doing so, we've also learned recently that there's quite a lot of demand coming from AI. There's a lot of uplift on AI. Those of you who flew United, how many of you guys flew United yesterday or today? Quite a lot of people. So if you're going to your gate or you're going to the club or there's information about passenger, if you look at that text, if you opted in for that preference, you'll see that coming from Gen AI. So I think that's the bet that we're making at United Airlines, is we're focused quite a lot on figuring out how to do things that are simple, better, and faster, but focused on the personalization aspect of how you prefer things to be delivered. Right, so we're making quite a lot of bets on AI in general, whether it's predictive, generative, or agentic, and we have a lot of use cases in all of them.
And obviously, airlines, we all know how it's a very competitive market, and it's always a challenge to find the way to be able to emerge from the competition. And do you think AI and the experiences that AI create with the customer base could be one of those things that can allow United to emerge even more so than they are today, even more so to be able to compete even better?
I do. And the simple answer is yes. But it's a lot more complex when it comes to, in United Airlines, we're focused on trailblazing. Right? We're focused on making sure that we are providing services to our customers at the most efficient manner. However, we are not going to compromise on security and safety. That's number one to us, right? So in order for us to have that principle of security and safety, but also be innovative, if you think about it, they could potentially clash with each other. So one of our strategies that we implemented is, in addition to modernizing our stack, is also having an ecosystem of partners like Kong that allows us to be innovative. One of the big reasons why we selected Kong as our solution across the enterprise, it's standard, is because we saw the revolution and the evolution that your team has gone through, Marco, and that was in sync with how we actually operate. Our operating model was very similar to yours. So by having partners that are compatible with this velocity and speed of your team, it's going to be a safe journey to do that.
One of the biggest topics today is the ability to enact change and transformation in the organization. So of course, in your case, United, it's a top Fortune 500 airline, perhaps the biggest one in the world these days. What is the current scale of United in the world?
Well, so I know my team's here, they can correct me, but 5,000 flights a day, 360 destinations across the globe, obviously multilingual. So when it comes to a contact center, it's a very complex operations. We've got 2,200 applications, about 5,000 APIs, 1.4 billion transactions a day on APIs, just on mission critical transactions. So the scale is pretty large. And again, that goes, you could talk about northwest or north-south, east-west type of traffic, and we're tuning that, we're making it better with Kong, but it's a very complex operation. And we're in the process of actually defining the business portfolios in the way, Marco, that helps us leverage some of the technologies that you have and go from seconds to milliseconds and even below that, so we can have better customer experience. In fact, if you're in the airport and you need to get a label on your luggage, and when you press that button, it used to take about maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds, now it's a millisecond. So now, as soon as you press that button, boom, the label's coming out. It's moving customers a lot faster. It is self-service, and our goal is to replicate that success to To some of you, it may be a small thing, but to us, we want to make sure that that process is as seamless as possible.
So large organization, lots of impact, people around the world that are using your product, of course, to fly around the globe. How do you even think about reducing complexity around such a, what seems to be a very complex enterprise environment?
It is. It's extremely complex. And let's talk about the other side, which is we still have a lot of mission critical services that are on-premise. We have mainframe on-premise as well. We have business operation on-premise. And this is why we're focused, if you look at our AI strategies, focused on 3 different pillars. One is the customer experience, and we have identified AI capabilities to enhance that process, and it's a journey of the customer. The second is focused on technology, and that one focuses on developers like your teams, or observability tools, or some of the operational aspect of technology, and we've identified AI tools there. And then the third pillar is really around the business operation. You know, everything that happens to make sure that the planes are on time, you know, leaving the gate on time, arriving on time, making sure that your journey is safe and on time. All that operation of that, and by the way, it's massive. There's AI capabilities there. And what we've done is we've identified, and we were very kind of bullish about this, we've identified 27 different capabilities. I'm happy to talk to you offline, that we say, these are the ones that we want to, you know, double click on and make additional bets to enhance. But we know that our teams are definitely capable, but we would need the partnership from you and even crowdsourcing abilities from other organizations that have trailblazed potentially to do that. So it is, we're on this journey. We're very excited about it, and I think we're going to make a big impact.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Ninos, for sharing this. From an operational standpoint, when we look at the teams that are building all of these new capabilities and customer experiences for United, obviously it's a very diverse organization, lots of different teams. How do you think about enacting, you know, standardization across so many teams doing so many different things?
Well, look, I think standardization, and I'm big on this, standardization is the key to success when it comes to these types of things. And don't get me wrong, when I joined United 2 years ago, we were an extremely decentralized organization. Now, that's not a bad thing. Just because something is good doesn't mean the opposite is bad. I'll tell you why the decentralization when I joined the organization was a good thing. Because it allowed teams that were innovative to trailblaze and move forward. They weren't shackled by some of the potentially more heavier weight centralization processes, right? So when I came into the organization, I wanted to make sure that we don't lose that speed of innovation, but provide the opportunity where our teams are skilled to help the next team that needs that push, right? So when we've talked about standardization, you know, you talk about consistency. You talk about crowdsourcing the templates and engineering. You talk about some of the things that can help you implement these solutions at a much faster pace. And oh, by the way, it's going to be secure, it's going to be reliable, it's going to be resilient, because you're creating these engineering templates and making them available via catalog. By the way, my team didn't build all these. I mean, some of my team members are here, and I tell them that. They didn't build all these templates and engineering. It was really the champions that we've identified within the business portfolios. We said, hey, look, we see you as an advocate to this solution. We want you to partner with us. And oh, by the way, your name is on that template. So it's not about me getting the credit. It's about making sure that everyone's able to you know, include engineering templates in this repository to be used over and over. So reusability is key. I'm an architect in nature, so simplification, consistency, repeatability, reusability is very important to me, and I think standardization accomplishes that.
And what about innovation? What do you think is the, you know, what is the approach to innovation that United is following right now that perhaps, you know, people from the audience can also replicate in their own respective organizations?
Yeah, no, so like I said earlier, we're doubling down on AI. And again, whether it's generative or agentic, I think we're moving in some areas to agentic, in other areas we're still generative. For example, in the contact center space, we're making heavy bets into agent assist. And if you don't know what agent assist is, basically the opportunity for an agent or an AI to help the agent that's talking to you on the phone, right? By making sure that there's a lot of data that's being pulled at a faster pace and then provided to an agent so they can give you the response that's tailored to you how you want it, right? We're making heavy bets in voice AI. We have pretty good containment within the digital channels. I've mentioned, if you're looking at your text, you see that generated from Gen AI. But we know that we have an opportunity where we could do better on our voice AI. We have about 1 to 2% containment. We want to up that to 7 to 8%. Some of you guys are a little bit more mature, and if you are, let's have a conversation after this, right? But that's one. The other one is really around our operating model when it comes to our technology teams. We've taken the SDLC, for example, and we rebranded it to SDLC.ai. It's not really a marketing, well, it is a marketing word, but reality is, if you look what's underneath the hood of that analysis, you'll see that from business requirements all the way to production release, there's quite a lot of opportunities to include AI in that process. And a lot of you guys have. But I'll tell you this, if you're not using AI today, you're not thinking about using AI today, or you're pushing AI out of the way, guess what? Your competition is using AI today. So you have to explore. Don't be afraid to actually do use cases. Base them on efficiency and velocity and speed rather than headcount reduction. I've learned that early on that that's not really a good business case. So our business case when it comes to technology and SDLC is focused on efficiency. It's focused on how do I get through my backlog faster, because all of you guys have a massive backlog, I bet, and it wouldn't be nice to go a little bit faster, right? But we did some metrics around it too. We're looking at maybe between 10 to 15% efficiency. We're looking at a boomerang of deploying code that's potentially vulnerable, and the developer has to, refactor that application to be less vulnerable. So we're doing analysis on that, and we're seeing some good results. And I think the third pillar, which is really focused on the business side, and this is where technology is kind of more of an advisory role to the business, which is really around, how do we make sure that the seed assignment is done in an AI fashion, where we know what your preferences are, Marco, and we're going to make a recommendation based on that. We know what your preferences are in the club. We know what you had for lunch or dinner when you flew out to Singapore, and we're going to personalize and make that recommendation. Those are all operation on the back end that has been traditionally been done by humans, and now we're leveraging a lot of the AI, and we're seeing a lot of success.
Well, and you touched on cost reduction. I think that something that you said earlier, it's more about forward cost reduction. So the ability to be doing more with the current resources, that effectively is a forward cost reduction, because it means we're going to be needing to, allocate less resources in order to be able to execute on the roadmap. So effectively, it is cost reduction.
Yeah, and that's a great way of saying that. The way I usually describe it to our business partners in finance is, hey, these are the t-shirt size projects that we do. And based on this t-shirt size, let's assume it takes your development team or your engineering team 6 months to accomplish. Well, we could predict, based on the tools that we have with AI, that instead of 6 months, it will take 5 months. So it's truly an efficiency play, which means that I have 1 more month to actually take on another project, right? So we're shrinking the time that allows us to be more efficient, which in turn allows us to pump out more business capabilities that you as a customer take advantage of, and that's really key for us.
That's great. So how does AI innovation currently happen at United? Is it something that the whole group is pursuing together, or are you identifying squads of innovative teams that are pursuing AI innovation? How does that really work? Because maybe perhaps this can be inspiration for some people in the audience that also are trying to replicate that same success, that same innovation in their respective businesses.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic question, because it was a journey, right? I remember when we started the journey a year and a half ago, we were thinking about this really fantastic rail that all the AI sits on. And when we realized, a few months of doing this, we realized that AI is evolving so quickly, so we needed to provide an operating model that can consume the AI capabilities and cycle through them and make a decision on what's best. By the way, we do have a responsible AI framework, so no AI gets implemented at United Airlines without the approval, and it's sanctioned by security, making sure that it's compliant, but also adheres to our policy. But when we do have an AI in place, Initially, we started with decentralized teams and pockets that were very innovative. I compare that to the cloud engineering 15 years ago. A couple of developers said, I don't need the infrastructure guy or gal. I can just put this workload in the cloud. And they did that and it worked, right? And all of a sudden it gave the evolution of cloud and it matured. But you look at cloud today, it's got architecture, it's got engineers, it's got operation. Gen AI is going to be the same thing. So Gen AI starts today potentially at a smaller pocket. We at United have surpassed the capacity of the decentralized team. Now we have a central team dedicated. We have data scientists, we have champions, we have black belts that are available with a lot of expertise and a lot of different AI tools that are part of my organization, but their role is to be embedded into areas where we believe AI could be helpful. So they go to the business and say, hey, look, we understand these are processes that are done this way. We could probably tweak them and change them and include some of the AI. So we're becoming a little bit more mature and allows us to be a little bit faster, even for the teams that haven't really adopted AI. They're taking advantage of the knowledge of the central team.
That's great. So besides increase of efficiency or forward cost reduction or actual cost reduction, how do you look at the KPIs that AI is generating for the business? How do you determine if AI is actually helping the business or not?
That's a tough one, and it's evolving, right? I mean, we look at, for example, we look at code commits, we look at the code that's developed and how much vulnerability or no vulnerabilities it has. So we're taking it down to the level where we can understand how many of those, how much of the code was actually generated by AI. We're actually starting to measure that. My vision is to actually have a prompt engineering type of a solution where we talk about creating an API that is designed for mobile or .com, and the AI will fetch the standards, has a design, build the code, test it, and deploy it. Now, we're far away from there, but the idea is by establishing that vision, it has allowed my team and the rest of the organization to really create this culture of AI, Marco. It's fascinating. I tell you, you go talk to anybody in United and tell them about a process, and the first thing that's going to come out of their mouth is, by the way, we're looking at AI to do this. We've created this energy within the organization where automation, not just AI, automation and AI is the number one thing that they look for to solve a problem, right? And that has really provided us with enough of an intake that comes into my organization to say, all right, well, what are the benefits here? There's some AIs that we are parking or put in the backlog because we don't think they're effective for us. They may be effective for you, but we're doubling down on code development, for example, from an AI perspective. We're doubling down on testing. In fact, we're very mature in that space. We're doing a lot of gating on the DevOps. So we have specifics that we can talk about where we believe AI is helpful from a technology perspective.
That's great to hear. So what advice would you give to the rest of the audience? Many of them, by the way, of course, are working in highly regulated industry, just like United Airlines is. What advice would you give to the audience when it comes to approaching innovation, transformation, whether it's API transformation or AI transformation?
Yeah, keep it basic. Look, I'm a pragmatic, my approach. If you don't keep it simple, it's going to be very hard. I was having a conversation earlier, some of you guys, it could be about getting rid of legacy. That's totally okay. If you're starting this journey, right, let's make sure you have the right standards, because standards is going to help you implement faster, right, and it allows you to create champions across the organization. But start with the business case, keep it simple. Is it about reducing legacy or tech debt? If it's a check, let's highlight that. Is it about creating innovation opportunities? Let's highlight those, right? Is it about reducing costs? Let's highlight those. Keep it generic and simple, but have the actual details to support you when you have a conversation with your business partners. And by the way, your business partners may be the finance organization that's going to fund this, right? And then once you do that, then you got to think about the implementation. Think about the architecture principles of implementation. Make sure that you're using reuse, you're building patterns that can be accomplished across the organization. Take the layer of non-functional requirements out of the mix and out of the burden of the developer to figure out. Bake that into your engineering compass. We've done that and we've found a lot of success. Now we are very clear on what resiliency patterns we have deployed for all of our APIs because they're leveraging the signature of a template that our engineering department have used. but allow the developers to be creative. They can take that template, they can change it. We'll allow them to do that because we trust them to make the right call for their applications and what they need to do, right? So those are just basic things that you could accomplish fairly quickly that allows you to progress in your journey and accomplish the outcome of your business case. And then last but not least, make sure you have champions. Like I can't stress this enough. Like, I mean, we got 2,200 applications. We got almost about 5,000 APIs. There's no way, I've got a team of 30 people, there's no way they could do that across the organization. There's different libraries, different frameworks, different development principles. So we are still decentralized out in some of those decisions. But in order for us to standardize on a specific platform like Kong, we need to make sure that we have champions across these business portfolios. And by the way, these champions know more about not only the application, but they know about the business logic that creates that application than we do. So having that as a partner, making sure that you're highlighting their successes to the leadership, I think is going to be a key driver to your success.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Ninos, for sharing these very insightful data points. I hope that the rest of the audience enjoyed them as much as I did. A round of applause.